don't fit into a category. They can't control you. You can't trust anyone. You have to hide inside a faction to survive.
First of all, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
And my first question is, when you are coming on a project where it's based on a popular book, and in fact I know you just made a movie which is also based on a series of books, do you feel a responsibility that you have to read the book, or do you have your own ways of sort of, no, I just want it to be the script, I just want to go in that direction? What do you sort of feel you guys have to do as
I feel
actors?
like a jerk. I don't read the book.
Yeah, yeah. I always curious to read the book, but yeah, it's part of your homework, really, isn't it?
I'd feel pretty lame standing around and said, no, I didn't read that. No, been busy.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel like you learned anything about your characters from it, though? Did it give you a better sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's also, in an adaptation of a book, there are always things in the novel that don't make it into the screenplay.
Right.
So that's always very helpful in terms of either your character or filling up a world that we're inhabiting. So that was helpful. But I must say, this script did an unusually good job of creating the world of that novel in a way that few adaptations that I've been involved with have done.
Well, that was what was really interesting is I got a sense, and maybe it was just me projecting my own thoughts on your characters, but that, that Natalie and Andrew sort of understand that maybe this whole world doesn't really work a little bit. Did you guys think that they thought that, or did you feel that they were, with the movement 100% behind it? Like, how did you believe they were?
That's exactly right.
I shouldn't say we're in the past tense.
I can't remember if we talked about it at the time, but I felt very much that Andrew was someone who being a part of the government, one of the people at the top of the government, was extremely aware that this system was coming apart at the seams. And I think for him, he was very committed to aspiring to what his faction abnegation represents, but with a kind of awareness that that was an ideal and that this very rigid structure, was starting to come apart. And there's a point made in the story that erudite is undermining the whole thing. And because as soon as you meet us, we're discussing the fact that people are trying to dismantle the system and take power.
And people who read the books will know this, but people who haven't seen the movie will eventually find out, is Natalie was not always in abnegation. She was something else before. Mm-hmm. I haven't read the second book. Is there any info that you found out from the author or whatever about why she went from one to the other, or what her motivation was to sort of change?
Well, that information about Natalie and why I was raised in one faction and myself chose on my choosing day to leave my family faction of origin behind and choose a different one. That really comes out in the third novel, apparently, Insurgent. And part of what was very cool about being on the set, it felt like being a part of a social movement, because the book has sold 16 million copies. It's a massive phenomenon, and yet we had the privilege of sitting with the author who was clandestinely writing the third book.
She was writing, at the time, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And even the way the script was sent under lock and key, it all has this great aura about it. And so I haven't read Insurgent yet, but I don't want to be that jerk that we talked about earlier, so I will definitely be reading it.
Well, is there a chance that you guys could come back for, oh God, I don't want to give it away, but could you come back in theory in some manner for the other films?
In theory, in some manner, yes.
In theory, in some manner.
Possible.
Yeah, movie-making magic world.
Magic world. And I just want to ask you really quickly, you're talking about how this is so popular and a popular franchise on Twitter, on social media, all this stuff. You are part of that every week, on Scandal. Mm-hmm. Can you go on Twitter? Do you feel besieged? Like if you
Oh, yeah, I'm on
social
Twitter
media?
all the time. I mean, it's the way that this incredible communication with the fan base and moviegoers. In fact, I must say, a lot of Divergent fans immediately started following me and interacting with me, and I with them. As soon as, literally the day I was cast in this movie, I got flooded with tweets, and they've remained a part of sort of my Twitter conversation.
For breaking entertainment news and more, follow @HitFix on Twitter or visit hitfix.com.